always fun when somebody else takes the piss at Dave Smith. I think that's how you use that sentence. I don't know. I never use that sentence, but like takes a dump on Dave Smith. I love it, even though Crowder is being pretty respectful here. You know me. For the last, I don't know. At least I think most of my videos for the last half year have been about Dave Smith and how retarded he is. It is really what's the word I'm looking for? Encouraging, really affirming. You know, it's really affirming when somebody else has a much larger viewer base. How many, like 1.75 million on Rumble. So it's pretty big. Okay, if it's especially if it's on Rumble, imagine how big it would have been on YouTube if they didn't censor him all the time. So it's really nice. And by the way, Rumble is the place for these conspiracy theorists, like Alex Jones and shit. So it's, again, very vindicative to see somebody else talk about Dave Smith in not a positive light, because he is a fucking moron with no knowledge of anything geopolitical, false equivalencies. His morality is fucking retarded. He, like the previous video says, cops and robbers commit the same exact crime when they shoot one another. Okay? When the cop shoots the robber for, pointing a gun at him and robbing a bank, he is just as evil as the robber who was shooting at the cop. Okay? That is how retarded Dave Smith is, okay? And I explained, this was talked about in the previous video, I'm not going to iterate. But anyways, let's see what Steven Crowder here had to say about Dave Smith.
Don't let the propagandists lie to you. Like us.
Mm-hmm.
Like the president who said, we're not going into war.
He's talking about Tucker Carlson saying, don't let the propagandists talk to you. Don't believe the propagandists, don't let the propagandists lie to you, while Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Dave Smith are all lying to you.
We are going to make sure that they don't have nuclear capabilities. We have no interest in regime change. We've always had an interest in ensuring that a crazy, unstable, anti-American, anti-freedom country who has said they will use nukes, we've always said they can't procure nukes. But don't believe the propagandists.
And this is the argument that everyone that Dave Smith uses. I don't care about everyone. Dave Smith uses this argument. It's like, well, why didn't we prevent Soviet Russia from procuring nukes? Why didn't we prevent Mao's China from creating nukes? It's like, bro, with what fucking force would you prevent it? Do you think you had the chance to do it? Of course, for the benefit of America, from America's perspective, it would be better if China and Russia never had nukes. But America couldn't stop them at the time, so they have nukes. So fucking stupid.
Who told you that and gave you the references and encouraged you to read them? Dave Smith. By the way, again, it's tough because some of these people I think present some arguments that are useful sometimes. Tweeted this about the war. According to Netanyahu and other sources, Trump had full prior knowledge of Israel's attack and gave it his blessing while pretending to be negotiating with the Iranians as cover. So this is presenting, again, fact.
Which, by the way, I love that Dave Smith, every time somebody argues with him, he says that's like, oh, you're just straw manning. You just built an image of me that is not true, and then you attack it. Dude, Dave Smith is the master of straw manning, okay? So, based on what he's saying right now, he's going to make the rest of the tweet, okay? Even though the first part is already not true. But based on that part, Netanyahu and other sources, sure.
Not opinion. Netanyahu and other sources. Here are some facts for you, which leads me to this conclusion. If this is true, Trump is the most impotent bitch of a leader imaginable. He's allowing...
If this is true, yada yada. Either way, Trump has betrayed MAGA. If this is true, either way, Trump has betrayed. So it's like, I'm learning coding recently, right? Where is it? I'm on this part of Buddha Dev. I'm about to like build an asteroid game. I'm gonna be streaming it later. Me learning how to code and shit, just for fun, whatever. Um, and in Python, there's a lot of like if statements, right? If true, then this happens. Else, this happens. In Dave Smith's case, there is no else. If this is true, meaning this is true. There's no like the if is like kind of like irrelevant.
One side of a war who clearly wants to drag us in to lie about our involvement while not correcting the record. Either way, Trump has betrayed MAGA and every principle of America first. He is no longer worthy of any of our support. He probably never was. So sources, Netanyahu and Trump, we knew about it. We were involved in this. Weave it all together, and this was all an excuse for us to go to a perpetual war with Iran.
Which, by the way, this is the funniest thing that I find when people said it's like, well, and Dave Smith will say this later, and he talks about like, well, now we attack them. There's no room for negotiation. This is like Pearl Harbor, which, like, by the way, this is not like Pearl Harbor because U.S. was stronger than Japan. They just got caught off guard. Iran is not stronger than the U.S. They're not going to be going to war with the U.S. Like it's a losing battle. You pick and choose your battle, right? This is not a game of like, no, we're gonna try until the end. It's like League of Legends. They're in your base, destroying everything, and like you have the two players who are like, no, we can still turn this around. Yeah, this is not the case with real-time war. Okay, this is not a game. So that mentality is kind of fucking retarded. And second of all, what do you think? First of all, second of all, the U.S. told Iran 60 days to negotiate. Iran didn't negotiate. What do you think happens? Do you think they're just like, you keep asking for negotiation when you are the one in power? No, bro. Like, I gave you your chance, right? Imagine you go into like a business deal. And yes, I am comparing this to a business deal because fuck you. Okay? Imagine you're going to a business deal, right? And you were like, you are the smaller business, right? You have everything to gain from making a deal with this larger business, right? Or you're going to, you know what, even better, Shark Tank. Oh man, Shark Tank, okay? You're just a startup business, okay? You have some sales, whatever, and you go on Shark Tank and you ask for an investment. Now, technically, these guys that are investing, they don't need to invest in you, right? They're technically doing you a favor. The cards are more than likely at their table. Now, it is mutually beneficial if they make a deal. They will likely make more money, but they also have some risk because they're sometimes not gonna make more money, right? Some businesses will flop even with the investment. Okay, so they are taking a risk by giving you a certain amount of money for the return is some percent of your company, right? But realistically, if you are there, you being there or not being there doesn't matter to the shark. Okay, if you never came to ask for money, this wouldn't change anything for them. They're already millionaires, billionaires, whatever, some of them, right? Like, they don't give a fuck, right? You come in, you're asking for like 200,000, a million, whatever. They're like, is this risk worth the reward? Right? It's the same fucking concept. It's like, for the bigger guy, it doesn't really matter if you come to the negotiating table or not. I am doing you the favor of negotiating with you. If you don't want to negotiate, I will use force. What do you like? This is like why Dave Smith is so stupid. What do you think happens if negotiations fail? Right? Do you think, oh, we're just going to keep negotiating until we get a deal? No. Peace through strength doesn't mean peace through negotiations. Peace through strength means if you don't do as we ask you to within reason, obviously we're not gonna like demand something impossible out of you, right? But if you don't do what we ask of you, we are gonna force you to do what we ask of you in a less favorable terms to you. Why? Because we can. That is what peace through strength means.
He also said with the utmost certainty that, and it almost sounds like at a certain point you just don't want the United States to ever have any good days.
I so agree. This is why in the previous video, or the one right before it, I said Dave Smith, in my opinion, hates America. Like he wants America to be what he wants it to be, but he hates the actual like what America is. It's like he doesn't understand how America even came to power, how he has the privilege to live in this country, like what the sacrifices what wars were fought, how smart it was to fight certain wars at certain times, how like when the U.S. joined battles. It's like none of this exists. It's like as if as if the U.S. became like number one in the world by like fucking in a vacuum. No, it took its fucking advantages, it took its risks versus reward calculations, knew when to join a war to make sure that even its allies are at the weakest that they could possibly allow, to join a war with the least amount of casualties that they can, while everyone else suffers more, they suffer the least. Okay, like literally every battle up until basically Vietnam. Vietnam was again a mistake. I think everyone admits it was a mistake. Up until Vietnam, that was pretty much U.S. military. They take advantage of a situation to grow stronger. Like every fucking fight.
We did not have, quote, escalation dominance against Iran. And again, Trump should be impeached.
It was in 2007 that the Pentagon told George W. Bush that we cannot go to war with Iran because we do not have escalation dominance against them, essentially meaning that they can hit all of our bases and embassies in the region, and we are very vulnerable to them. To be sitting there talking about coming back to the negotiating table.
I honestly don't know why she's still on the show. He's at least somewhat reasonable. I don't agree with a lot of his takes, but at least he's somewhat reasonable. This bitch is just fucking mental. Okay.
It's like sitting after Pearl Harbor and telling FDR, now's the time to go negotiate with the Japanese.
Like I said, this makes absolutely it's such a false equivalency. Why the fuck would the US need to negotiate at this point? US practically never actually needs to negotiate, right? It is more beneficial to the US to negotiate because like less losses. But it's like, bro, if you're bringing fire to my house, like I'm gonna fucking, destroy your whole fucking existence. Okay. The U.S. was never at a point where it needs to negotiate. It is preferable for the U.S. to negotiate, but never really needs to negotiate. It will win the war, right, one way or another. But it is better for all parties involved if we do negotiate. Right, but we don't need to. It's preferable because this won't be as much of a hassle for us.
Negotiations are over now. The time for negotiations was before this, and so yeah, so Donald Trump looks, and man, I supported him this last year. I apologize for doing so. It was a.
So would you have rather supported Kamala Harris? Because again, I want to be realistic. You can think that Kamala and Trump are both bad presidents. Sure, in my opinion, Trump would have never, ever been a president if the stars didn't align as they did in 2016. Trump, in my opinion, is not a fantastic president. Like, he's not political. His strategic mind is not great. Whatever, all that stuff, right? But the reason he's president is because how fucking mental the left had become. That you needed somebody like Trump. Right? Here's another example. Hitler would not have been the Führer in Germany under different circumstances, right? It's the circumstances that made Trump. It's the circumstances that made Hitler, right? By the way, I am not comparing Trump to Hitler, okay? I'm just giving you examples of just if you think Trump is a bad president, as we all know, Hitler was a bad fucking Führer, okay? This is not a comparison between them, it's just example, right? Like, Stalin would not come into power if it wasn't a certain thing. Xi Jinping wouldn't be coming to power if it wasn't certain conditions, right? The conditions just fucking, they were perfect, okay? Netanyahu wouldn't be in power if there was peace in the region. Realistically speaking, if nobody wanted to go to war with Israel, Israel could live in peace and prosper, whatever, Netanyahu would not be in power, right? Israel is at a point right now that it needs somebody like Netanyahu who is willing to go into war and willing to make these decisions that make Israel look bad. Why? Because they are all constantly at war. They are constantly bombarded. right? Like if you had a peaceful president, like if you, let's say you have Yitzhak Rabin, and I respect him because of what he tried to do, but I don't think he was right because he caused more problems than any other prime minister. Okay, Yitzhak Rabin was very much into peace, peace, peace. We don't want war. We're gonna give you pretty much anything you want. Just let us live in peace, right? And again, you can say it's admirable. I think it's stupid, because you're just in a weaker position all the time. But yeah, but like if you had somebody like Yitzhak Rabin in during October 7th, right? You like this would be a very weak position for Israel overall. Israel would not be going into Gaza, and like even if you disagree, like you said, it's like, oh, going into Gaza is genocidal, whatever. In my opinion, enough is enough. Okay, and I'm all for, I'm not for killing the civilians, obviously, but I'm all for if civilians get hurt because Hamas is using them as shields. That's not my fucking problem. Okay, like I'm sorry, right? That's how it is. Don't use civilians. We can't allow this to be a war tactic. Because this would become the future of war, right? If Hamas is allowed to do this, every fucking military is gonna start doing this. That will be fighting against like a moral army.
A bad calculation at the time. It seemed like the right one, but he should be impeached and removed for this one.
Just say you made some mistakes, Dave.
That's a
No,
2000.
oh man, as I said, Dave will not admit his mistakes. His ego is so fucking inflated. It is actually crazy. This guy rose to stardom pretty much out of nowhere, right? In a very short amount of time. You never heard of him. He been to Joe Rogan a few times. Then he had the Douglas Murray debate. Boom, that's it. He is the figurehead of a talking point, and he rose to this stardom. Nobody kind of like. I mean, I'm sure some people knew of him, but nobody really knew Dave Smith up to that point. Okay, he wasn't selling out fucking stadiums because he's not even funny. Okay.
2007 reference.
Yeah.
What was going on in 2007? Battle of Fallujah. We were still very involved in Iraq.
Right.
Still very involved in Afghanistan. Both sides of Iran. Completely different landscape.
Yep.
Completely different operations going on there. That is a crazy reference to make about what's going on now in 2025.
Oh, no, didn't you know? We're secretly already involved. It's about World War III and war with Iran.
I did forget
sending
that.
American bodies to die for Israel, right?
I did forget that.
Just say you made some mistakes, Dave.
Never gonna
Serve your
say.
audience. Serve the country.
He hates the country. There's nothing to serve. He hates the country. He hates it because it's not what he wants it to be. That's all it is. I don't think Dave likes the U.S. He likes the privilege of the U.S. He doesn't like being involved in what it means to actually be the U.S. Right? You have to maintain your fucking power. You have to do the things that you don't just get to the top and be like, well, from now on we can abstain from all the nasty shit, bro. You every king had the assassin squad ready to get rid of stuff that could be a hindrance later on. Okay, you, in order to maintain power, and I'm not saying Trump has an assassin squad. I'm not saying Trump is king. I'm saying the U.S. is king, right? The U.S. is number one in the world. It dictates the pace in many cases, right? Obviously, it has other kingdoms to deal with. You have Russia, China, all that stuff, right? And you can't just go and assassinate people in fucking Russia or whatever, right? But the point is that's if there's a threat you can mitigate, remove this threat. We don't need another fucking problem. We have enough problems. Remove this problem. I don't even want to deal with it. You're gonna have to do it, right? That's how you maintain your fucking power. You don't just maintain power from abstaining from all wars. Then it's why do you even have a military? Just we abstain from all wars. And it's okay, why are you joining why do you want people to join the army? Just to show that we have soldiers? What for? Just give all the people guns, right there. Everybody has a gun. Good luck invading. Right? No, of course you need of course you need a military, and you have to use that military to show that you actually have it. Right? There is the dirty is really what makes the country strongest. Right? Everybody's benefiting from the disgusting things that are being done in order to be able to maintain this nice privilege that you have at living in this kingdom. Alright. Anyways, that's all I got for you for today. That's all I want to talk about. I just love when people call Dave Smith out. It is always fun, and I hope more people start talking about this fucking phony, this fucking retard. Okay? And the reason I really focus on Dave Smith and not people like, Candace Owens, what's his name, Alex Jones, when they say crazy shit, is because they already have the label of crazy. Dave Smith is coming off as just like this normal guy, but his ideas are fucking crazy. He literally, I'm not gonna lie, he believes Candace Owens and Alex Jones, and he believes the Jews are evil. He believes that. Okay? He's not gonna say it because he knows how crazy it sounds, but he is there. Give him 2 more years of like him just fucking like eating his own fucking ego and just being like full of fucking ego all the time, right? He will get to that point. He's like, you're watching the beginning of a radical retard, okay? That is Dave Smith, okay? Just because he didn't buy into saying those things, because he thinks it's a bit like, okay, it's a bit kooky, but like, there's some truth in it. A year or 2 from now, if he keeps going like this, he would be the next Candace Owens or the next Alex Jones, but like from the left. Like, just like we've seen this over and over again, right? Israel Derangement Syndrome is a real fucking disease. Anyways, I'll catch you later. Peace.